Okay, everybody, welcome to the show. Rachel Luba, she's an American sports agent. She's the founder and owner of Luba Sports, a sports agency based in Maple Valley, Washington. She's the youngest certified female agent in baseball. Everybody, welcome Rachel Luba. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to Kermit and Friends.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I am so excited that you are here. I kept it a secret because I wasn't sure if you were definitely coming, but I'm very happy to see you. Okay, so people have lots of questions for you. Do you do a lot of podcasts and interviews?
Yeah, fair amount.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to have fans come up and talk to you, but first, what made you decide to get into sports? Were you athletic as a kid?
Yeah, I was a gymnast my entire life, basically, from the age of 2 through college at UCLA. So I kind of knew I wanted to work in sports, but wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. And then when I got to UCLA, started thinking more about it, and I realized I was passionate about helping the individual athlete, probably just because I was always an individual sport athlete myself, and so started thinking about athlete representation. And then the first agent I spoke to, because they tell you, to interview or talk to people who are in the industry that you think you want to go in, and get their take on it.
Yeah.
And the first agent was a baseball agent that I talked to, and he kicked his feet up on his desk and leaned back in his chair and was like, "Listen, it seems like you know what you want to do, so I'm not going to sugarcoat it." He's like, "You're a female." And I was like, "I know."
Oh, you were very young at that point. How old were you at that point?
I was in college. I was probably 18 at that time.
Wow.
So I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he said that, I was like, "All right, is that it?" And he's like, "Well, the reality is you're not welcome in the industry."
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. There was nobody else?
So, yeah, I mean, that's what he said. So I was like, "All right, well, is that it?" And he said, "Look, he's like, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's just the reality. It's a boys' club." And then I was like, "Okay, this is a pointless chat." And he was like, "Look, if you want any chance, any credibility, you're going to have to get a law degree." So I walked out of there. I remember texting my parents, and I was like, "I'm going to go to law school." I've always kind of had a personality, I think, where if you tell me I can't do something, it's exactly what I want to do. So
Yeah.
I credit him for if he approached the talk as yeah, it's a great industry. You can, these are the different avenues people take and whatever. I probably would have walked out of there and been like, "Okay, now I'm going to go talk to an NBA agent or NFL." But that conversation, I was like, "All right, I'm going to be a baseball agent."
So was that guy a big guy in the industry?
Yeah, pretty decent.
So he was not encouraging.
No, but most aren't. I mean, that wasn't the first comment I ever got about being a female. I mean, up until at one point I was working at MLBPA. I was a lawyer there doing salary arbitration contracts. So the MLBPA is the Players Association, their union. And even when I was there, I would have agents, I would be helping agents negotiate their salary arbitration contracts, but yet those agents, some of those same ones were still telling me I wouldn't be able to be an actual agent in the industry because I was a female. So he wasn't the only guy.
Wow. And you were certain at that point at 18, that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah. Again, probably just because someone said you can't do it. I grew up with 3 brothers.
Okay.
There was never anything that I ever thought women can't do, but only guys can, just simply because, just because you're a girl. So, I've always liked a challenge.
So how do you represent people? Then when you started, how did you get your first person? Who was your first person?
So my first client actually was Trevor Bauer. This is Trevor Bauer's girlfriend. Yeah, that's a common common comment that I always get. I get it about every player.
Really? Wait,
yeah.
so Trevor Bauer
Yes.
was your first person that you represented. So how do you go after someone like that when he hasn't heard of you? You didn't have anybody before that.
So we both went to UCLA together. So we knew each other from UCLA. So I had known him. I've known him for about 11 years now. I had known him at the time. We always kept in touch. He was someone who was very unconventional. And he tells people all the time, like, he's not world's greatest athlete. He wasn't just born a physical specimen. But to be honest, like, he's actually not that athletic in a lot of ways.
Really? But he got the biggest deal. I read that he got the biggest deal ever because of you. How could he not be athletic?
I mean, baseball, look, he's a pitcher. He's found ways to, train his arm and be able to be effective and have this arm that is a weapon in Major League Baseball. But that being said, like, he's not necessarily super athletic. So he's always gone about things in a very unconventional way. He's very smart. He was a mechanical engineer major at UCLA. His dad is a chemical engineer, and his dad was, a big help in kind of getting him to where he is. Mm-hmm. They went about, learning how and trying to teach Trevor how to pitch by using kind of math and science in a lot of ways. And so I don't think Trevor ever viewed things as there's a certain mold and only a certain kind of person that can be successful in any area. He believes there are all different types of people who can be successful in whatever kind of field they want to go into, as long as you're willing to, put in the work and be creative and find ways to, figure out how to be successful with what you have. And so I think he kind of looked at, number one, he never doubted the fact, okay, she's a female, so what? Like, he knows I'm, intelligent. He's seen all the ways that, over the years, everything I did, becoming a lawyer, getting a job at the MLBPA, all these things. And then I ended up deciding to start my agency and use a completely different model. So instead of agents who charge, all baseball agents essentially will charge 4 to 5% on the contract. I operate more like a law firm. So I charge for the service I provide. So I use basically billable hours. So he looked at this one as, this is a better model. It makes way more sense for athletes. The difference is just no one is doing it.
Are you the only one that uses that model?
Yeah. So there's one other agent who his primary job is, he's a lawyer, but he represents some players as well. And he uses a hybrid of that model as well. But everyone else just charges the same.
So does that mean when he got his $102 million deal that you got him, that you don't get a percentage of that?
Correct. So, I mean, look, I did okay, and I'm I'm not in a bad spot. But that being said, I didn't take, a percentage of his contract. And the way I look at it is the value that these players, especially now with these advanced algorithms and analytics, the players are earning their value themselves more or less on the field. Teams they're pretty accurate in spitting out, using numbers and data to pretty accurately pinpoint what a player is worth. And so, the work that I do to get him his deal versus the work that I might do to get another player $1 million contract shouldn't necessarily be any different, right? The value, that $1 million player, I can't get him that a $40 million a year contract like I did for Trevor, because they're clearly just two different players.
Right.
But the service that I provide essentially should be the same thing. The difference in the contract is because of the player himself. And so for me to take a percentage of it just didn't make sense. And I'm not reinventing the wheel by this idea of paying for using billable hours, right? Most industries, you pay for the service that is provided to you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you're actually doing it in a really fair way that isn't done that much.
Right.
So that's pretty interesting. Okay, so are you happy with everything now? I see like a lot of people still questioning you. Like when in the chat, people are asking if you're dating that guy. You're not dating Trevor.
Yeah, no, everyone, this, like, because I am a female, everyone thinks that, there's no way she could have gotten here on her own. There's no way that she could have gotten here because she deserves it, or just that my personal life is relevant kind of thing. Whereas I look at it and my response always is that I refuse to answer to a separate set of questions than like men have to answer to.
Right.
There are athletes, there are agents who are also, gay, and nobody sits there and questions, guys. Well, are you dating a player? Are you, but because I am a female, everybody, one wants to assume, one wants to know. And until everyone is asking, other agents these questions as well, like, I just will never answer it, because again, my kind of go-to is, if I answer it, then every other girl that comes after me, every other female that comes after me is going to have to answer the same thing.
Right. It's annoying. And I wonder if it makes it even worse that you're an attractive female.
Well, thank you.
No, but if you were like a big, like fat female, nobody would be asking that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's true. I also get, there are, women on social media as well who will tell me that, I set the women's movement back, and I am
back.
Yeah.
Why would it be back?
Because the way I portray myself on social media is, I sexualize myself, and it's just to appeal to men. And so I'm setting the women's movement back. And my whole thing has been that it does not matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter, how you dress outside of, doing your job. If you know that your stuff, you should be able to be in this industry. Like, if you are good enough, you should be able to do the job. And sometimes, and look, I do this a lot of times intentionally to kind of try to break a mold and to, change things. But yeah, I might go extreme in some ways, but it's to kind of show and change and hopefully make it different for other, future women that come in the industry, that you can be whoever you are, as long as you do a good job. And I have so many, young girls that will reach out, girls that are in law school, whatever, who will thank me and say, like, thanks, because I feel a little better. Like, I feel like I can be at the beach and post a picture in a bikini, and it's not going, it's not going to affect the, whether people will hire me or.
I just looked at your Instagram. It's like a normal Instagram. You don't have any like slutty pictures on here or anything.
I mean, every now and then I have, like, you can definitely see, everyone can go try to find the slutty.
You're not going to find any slutty pictures on that. No, but why people have a problem with your Instagram? I don't even see anything. Really.
So I post. There's some. I mean, where you can definitely see me in, me in a bikini, me in.
There's a good one.
Yeah, there you go.
They don't have a problem with that, I don't think. See, yeah, it is confusing. I'm torn between it, right, Rachel? So I am torn, because then I think if little kids are looking up to me, which please don't, if you're a little kid, please don't. But if they are, I wouldn't think I would want to pose like sluttier pictures, because I wouldn't want like my kid to be like that. Because I know in life, like, you just get further with your law degree and with your hard work. So I am actually torn on it.
But so you get further, yeah. But I guess the whole thing is, why can't you be, who you are, be proud of who you are? And there was an ESPN article that came out maybe like a couple weeks ago by Jessica Mendoza, who she works in baseball now. She was an Olympic softball player, and just badass. But yeah. She wrote an article kind of, I guess, through my voice and my story about my eating disorder that I had from gymnastics. And I go through the entire thing. and talk about kind of why, because one of her first questions to me when she did another ESPN piece on me earlier in the year, and she looked at my social media, and there was a lot of scrutiny about my social media and how I present myself on there.
Did you delete pictures that were there?
No. So she asked me, well, why do you post these things? And so I talked to her out. One of the things was, look, my eating disorder, like there was a time where even when I was a gymnast, I was very strong. I had this certain body where, women would tell me, you're so lucky. I wish I looked like, had a body like you. And then men would tell me I'm too strong and too muscular. And there was a period where like, I did not like my body. I was very unhappy. And I finally got into a place in my life where like, I am happy with how I look. And it wasn't always like that. And so when I post a picture on, Instagram or whatever it is, it's usually because like, for me, it's a proud moment. It's like, I can look at this and feel happy with where I'm at. And that was something that I could say. And whether, people looked at other pictures before of me and were like, well, you looked great then. Like, I didn't necessarily think so. And so for me, posting this kind of stuff sometimes is like therapeutic. It's like, you know what? I'm happy. I'm proud of, where I am with recovering from an eating disorder. And I like this picture and I'm going to post it. And that's a lot of the reason why, not necessarily just to be, like a thirst trap or something.
I try very hard not to post any thirst traps, but I feel like everything's a thirst trap. I mean, why would you post a picture if you're not a little thirsty?
Exactly. So,
I think we're all thirsty in a way. Okay, let's take some questions. Who should we go to? Lori. This is a young lady, Lori. Lori, you're on with the very successful Rachel Luba.
Hi. I heard you talk about eating disorders, and I've dealt with like eating disorders on and off. Like right now I'm dealing with just boredom, depression, eating. How do you think somebody should go upon like recognizing that they have an eating disorder and getting over it?
I think it's a tough, first of all, I totally, feel for you. And I've been there and I struggle with food. It's a really tough thing to even get to the point where you can realize and acknowledge that you have an eating disorder and to say you have one. If your life, a lot of times for me, the way I look at it, if your life is a majority of your day revolves around and is consumed by thinking about what you're going to eat, wanting to eat, thinking about food, then it's probably like unhealthy eating habits, because food, in my opinion, is just fuel. It should just be a secondary thing in your life that, maybe it's something social, you go out to dinner, but it should not be the central part of your life. And there was a point where, the food was my entire life. And that's kind of the first step, getting over it. It's so tough. There is no answer. There's no one right way. Finding people who understand, talking to your loved ones about it, letting them in, letting them try to help, but setting boundaries, I think, on, these are things that are helpful, these are things that aren't. And then just kind of changing your image of what is beautiful to you, and like what kind of body are you trying to get, and, realizing that first of all, like, I will never be 6 feet tall. I'm never going to be stick thin. It's just not how my body's built. And so honestly, on social media, I started unfollowing all of these women that I followed and influencers or whatever that looked like that. I started following more like fit, muscular people, because that was my build anyway. So that, to me, I had to change my concept of, to me, what I viewed as like beautiful.
Is that what it is for you, Lori? Are you comparing yourself to people?
Sometimes I get in my head, and I deal with like body dysmorphia because my image of myself in my head is very different than what I see in the mirror. And sometimes I like what I see in the mirror, and sometimes I don't.
Yeah, I think when you do like it, sometimes maybe like take a picture of yourself and then look at it, and remember that when you took that picture, you really liked what you looked like.
But is it about looks so much, Rachel, or you think it's about something else inside
it can be a lot of things. Sometimes it's control. It's feeling like, you're in a place where you can't control anything else, and this is something you can control. I know, like, a lot of what set me into my eating disorder, and it happens. You don't realize when you cross that line. At least I was anorexic, and when you like cross the line of now you're like unhealthy. But for me, I was a gymnast, and it was, once you go through puberty and you start going through puberty, I mean, I had coaches that would, yell at me because I wasn't blessed with a body. Like, he would point to the 7-year-old or my teammate who was 7 standing next to me. Like, yeah, I'm 16. Like, of course I'm not blessed with her body anymore. So a lot of it was, I thought I would be a better athlete. And so but then I crossed that line, and I got to the point where everything started hurting. I was still training, 6 to 8 hours a day, but trying to stay under like 400 calories. And then my coaches would tell me, well, maybe if you gain some weight, like your body wouldn't break down. And so for me, it was, I don't know, I thought I would be a better athlete, but once you cross the line of like, you're now in this unhealthy state. I mean, there's a chemical imbalance too, especially when you start losing a ton of weight. What you see in the mirror is just totally different.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. It sounds like you were just under so much pressure when you were so young. I mean, how are you going to deal? I mean, that can't end up well, I think, right?
No, there are very few high-level gymnasts, I would say, that don't have some sort of eating disorder. And like, I credit the sport of gymnastics for that. But I mean, that's a whole other thing.
So do you think that, I mean, were you pushed, or did you want to do it?
My parents were always really good about, like, the only kind of requirement they ever had for us and my brothers was that we did something after school. Like, we couldn't just come home. And so if it was whether we wanted to do piano or, whatever, a sport, but we had to do something. And so, I mean, I would come home in tears all the time, and my parents, and I would say, I want to quit. I hate this. And my parents always said, look, like, that's fine, but you committed to, like, if we were in competition season, like, you committed to the season. So you need to finish out the season and then you can quit. So they never pushed me. I definitely pushed myself. But, when you dedicate that much of your life to something, and to me, it was my identity. It was who I was. Like, I was a gymnast. I never thought about actually quitting. And so, yeah.
So you liked it. Okay. 2 more questions, because I know you got to go. Let's take one from Charmin. Hey, Charmin.
So you have predominantly worked in male environments, and for sure you've seen all the personalities at play, the grandiose, the overinflated egos. What is a tip that you can share with the rest of us watching for how to present yourself best so that you work most cooperatively with somebody whose maybe personality you don't mesh with?
Great question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's, figuring out when, just being adaptable, I think, and figuring out when to, if somebody clearly, and I think this happens if you're, working with other men or women or just any other personality type. If somebody clearly has a personality type where they need to be in charge and they need to show that they're in control and whatever, like, I think understanding where the other people are and being able to then, adapt your tactics actually puts you in control in a way. And letting them think that if they want to be the ones in control, let them think that. In reality, I think a lot of times like, you in control. Like, take a step back and like, okay, let them lead, let them feel as like they're important. But I think if you can always be like aware, and if you can understand where, the different personality types of other people, and put yourself in a position that is going to, most favorably be able to work with that person in a way like you have the upper hand because you can adapt. And so I think the ability just to be, you know, adaptable and recognize other strong personalities
Yeah.
and how to like cooperate with them is like a very powerful.
Are you not a very emotional person?
No, I'm emotional. I put on a front for sure. Like people who know me well always joke about how like I am a very, I guess like behind closed doors, I'm very soft and I'm very like I can be very emotional and things can affect me and whatever. But during the day and like in my job, I put on a front of like nothing phases me. And so sometimes I think I probably like go to the other extreme once I'm done with dealing with work because I have so much time.
So are you very emotional in your personal life?
To an extent, but I guess it's just probably more noticeable because of the fact that when I am working and when I am with, you know, other men and in my industry, I put on a front that isn't necessarily, you know, it's not disingenuine, but it's, you know, I might act like things don't affect me. That being said, like with clients and stuff, I'm not afraid to, you know, show emotion sometimes and, you know, be upset because I think that makes people, it allows people to feel a little more like connected to you and trust you a little better. It's hard to trust somebody that shows zero emotion.
I know. Yeah, they're like psychopaths, right?
Right. So so with a client, like I want my client to trust me. I want my client to know also like how invested I am in them. I think it's one of the things that being a female actually helps is there is this maternal instinct. There is this ability to, you know, connect with and care about another human that I think some men just don't necessarily have. And so I think that in some ways gives me an advantage. So showing that emotional side to clients can, I think, be beneficial.
Yeah, most men are idiots. Here's T-Bob. T-Bob, you're on with Rachel Luba.
Hi, T-Bob.
Rachel, I love listening to you, but I couldn't help but wonder. I mean, you seem like a really strong woman. You're like the youngest woman in the sport thing you're doing with representing the players and all of that good stuff. So let me ask you, are you a Simone Biles fan?
Am I what? Oh, Simone Biles? Yeah, I mean, how can you not be? She's an incredible athlete.
That's right. Yeah. Did you know I was the only moderator on her Facebook group?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm the guy that did all that artwork over there for her.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? Small world. So, like, I know when you're in gymnastics, most of the girls shave their whole bodies, like all the hair off their body and stuff, so they can get better streaming through the air and all of that. And I was wondering, do you still shave your whole body like that or not?
I mean, I think I just shave like a normal, you know.
Bob should shave, right, Rachel? Shouldn't Bob shave?
Okay, now the reason I was asking this because I got one of them problems. It's not an eating disorder so much. Is I got a pot smoking disorder. So the more pot I smoke, the more pussy I want to lick, and I'm pretty good at it. Like I do that for hours, right? And so I was wondering if you're shaving down there, how'd you like a replacement wig?
Yeah.
Love you, baby.
Maybe keep smoking your weed.
What a jerk, right? Wow. All right, let's bring a nicer guy on. Sigmund. Last question. Sigmund, you're on with Rachel Luba.
Oh, he's muted.
Unmute, Sigmund. He dressed up for you.
I love the hat.
Yeah. Sigmund, you're blowing it, Sigmund. Aw. Men, they just can't get it together, right? Here's a good person. Dave, you're on with Rachel Luba. Then we're gonna let her go.
Hello, Rachel. It was interesting hearing you talk and stuff. I ain't never seen a baseball match before because they don't show them in England. But your story was really interesting, and it's nice to talk to you. I wanted to ask, first of all, happy birthday, Elisa, because that's coming up. in a few days.
Thank you guys. You guys are so nice.
And if I was, and also like, thank you for inviting me to your birthday party, but you literally can't get into America unless you've got American citizenship. So there's no way I'm going to be able to get there. But happy birthday anyway.
Thanks.
Yeah, I did want to ask Elisa, do you think Andy Dick being in prison might be the best thing for your relationship?
No, it's obviously the best. It's obviously the best thing. Sometimes it's just better to be in prison. And I don't know, Rachel, if you've heard about this, but my fiance, Andy, is in jail right now, right? So he's in jail, okay? So I'm just going to leave him there. Do you suggest, don't bail people out, right? Have you ever bailed anyone out?
Well, wait, why? No, I haven't. But why? Can I ask why, or how did we get there?
Yeah, sure. So he also, besides being my fiance, he has a boyfriend named Lucas, and they get into physical arguments. And Andy, he just gets really drunk and really aggressive, and he took a chair and he slammed it into this guy Lucas's head. Lucas is at Cedars-Sinai. He's okay. He's alive, but it was just a horrible situation. And then when I heard that Andy was in jail, I was like, part of me was a little happy. It was weird. Like I had mixed feelings about it, because it's like, I want him at my birthday party, but I also kind of want him in jail. So I just don't know.
If you want him in jail, leave him there. If there's
great advice.
That wants him there, he's probably good there.
Have you ever dated anyone that you hated so much you wanted in jail?
I've had periods of feeling like that, and then I usually know, like, this is probably not a great relationship.
Yeah, that's when you get out, when you prefer them in prison. Yeah. Okay, so Rachel, do you have anything to promote so people can follow you, they can add you, they can keep in touch?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on, I'm on Instagram, rachel.luba, and I'm on Twitter at Agent Rachel Luba.
Great.
YouTube channel as well, Rachel Luba, if you want to follow. So, yeah.
All right, great. So everybody follow Rachel. Rachel, did you have any fun today?
I did. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much. What a sweetheart. Did everybody love her? I loved her.